Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're audible.
I'm audible? Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it was actually, the microphone was not very high volume. That's why it was not audible. So, what about the others? Simu, can you hear? Simu?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute, but yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Can you hear me, Simu? Sukanya, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to the first session of the Yogini Study Circle. And I think a few more are yet to join in. I don't know when they are going to join, but before they join in, can you tell me what are your expectations? From Vivek, I know certain things. He has already shared his questions. Shonali has shared hers. What about the others? What are your expectations from this session? Vinayak?
Primarily, it's an exploratory understanding. Firstly, good morning to all of you. And exploratory to understand this aspect of the not so physical world, the metaphysical world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And understand what anything which you would, anything which we experience or learn about definitely has a bearing in how, in the future level, how we how it impacts our life. And so I think
Correct.
any learning which we get would have some impact which would help me to improve myself. And also to understand the topic in detail. This is something which, and therefore would like to know more further about it.
Okay. So I've just started recording. So if you could just repeat your thing briefly, so then it comes as a part of the recording.
Two things. One is knowing about the subject itself, because there's a subject and similar things is something which interests me. And two, I feel that any learning will definitely have a positive impact in my future. And therefore, how can I utilize this learning in the later phase of my life? Yeah.
What about you, Pallavi?
Hi. So actually, recently I've been very called to learn about yoginis, and even though I stay very close to like Hirapur, I know that there is a lot of fear-based learning around, like on the internet and everywhere. So I want to learn more about yoginis because I do not see this as fear-based something. So I have a lot of love for this subject. So I want to learn more about this from you from a very open mind, open-minded perspective. So yeah, just more learning.
Okay. What about the others? Vivek, you can tell me about your expectations. You have sent me a lot of questions, which we are going to take up today. But basically, what are you expecting from this session?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks for the opportunity. Like, thanks for doing this. And ever since, through fate, I got to know about you and about the book. It feels like really a very different feeling, like positive feeling that I get, like just reading. There's some sense of attraction that I get when I pick the book and then read about. And I'm not able to complete the book yet because as it takes time to kind of really understand through and make sense of it. Still a lot of curiosity around as Pali was mentioning in terms of about knowing about yoginis and more so also from your own experience, right? Because it's difficult to find people who go so deeper into a subject and then have experienced it, which is a lot more and the way that like the way you have written things out in the book as well, like it's it generates a lot of curiosity in terms of what's there. And so I just want to understand more from your own experience also, because that's more helpful versus just theoretically trying to understand things.
Correct. And to relate in the current context as well as from your own your own life, I guess.
Yeah.
What about Simu? Could you please tell me about your expectations? I could not actually ask you this before, neither could I ask you to share your questions. Could you tell me something? tell us something about it, your expectations from the session.
I think my expectation is just to keep an open mind because I feel like the only expectation I have is just to gain more knowledge because I think as someone else was saying earlier, even I was taking such a long time to read through your PDF and I went through one of your videos as well where you were talking about like past lives and I had to stop and pause for a minute because I was like, why did I experience the same things as you did, just in a very different manner with different people? So I think my expectation is just to also learn more about my experiences through you and see what other things you have to share. That is not shared on YouTube.
Wonderful. Shudeshna, what about your expectations from the session?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So yes, I am curious. You already know that, and
Yeah.
I don't get to speak to many people about these topics. So I would really like to hear what everybody has to say. Obviously, I need to know much about what you are going to say. You're going to answer my questions. Those as well as when we listen to various experiences from multiple people, I hope I can relate to some and maybe it'll help me further.
Correct.
So that's all. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Krishna? Krishna?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Hello. Good morning, madam.
Yeah. You're
I
audible.
am Krishna.
Krishna.
Yes. Yeah, I am new for this session. Previously, I have a little bit idea about this one.
Right.
But with Arun Weber only, I got idea about this Yogini sadhana like that.
Okay. You have already done the Mahavidya session, right? You have already done the Mahavidya course with Arun.
No. I am practicing only Kali sadhana.
Okay.
Only. That's it. But I am interested to learn this Vidya also.
Okay.
But I am very curious about learn this concept.
Know about the Chaucet Yogini. Okay.
Yeah.
So Kanya, we'll come to you. Hello,
Yes,
Sukanya.
Niilanjana. Yes, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Could you show your face, please? You're
Yeah.
totally gone in the behind the screen. Can't
Just
see your
give me
face.
a moment. I just completed cleaning the house and I look
Doesn't
horrible.
matter.
So,
Doesn't matter.
my
It's a Sunday morning.
apologies.
It's a Sunday morning, so it's okay.
Yes.
So could you
Thank
tell
you
us
so much
about
for the opportunity.
No. Tell us about your expectations
And
from
a very good,
the session.
a very good morning to everybody and a happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
For expectations, Niilanjana, I have come like a sponge, like an open mind.
Okay.
Because I feel that whenever we have expectations, a range, a track decided pre something, it never matches us. What
Correct.
exactly the universe wants us to know.
Yeah.
So I have kept a very open mind. I have always been very attracted to the Divine Mother. So the Chaucet Yoginis attract me as well. So I have come with a very open mind and just just want to understand and absorb as much as the universe makes you
As a medium.
you
I'm the
as a
medium.
medium. So yes, I'm just here to listen and understand better.
Okay. And last is Shonali. Now you tell me about your expectations. I have received your questions also. So what are your expectations? So you already know about the cult. You had been to the Chaucet Yogini temple numerous times, like me. But now you have to tell us, since nobody knows you except for one or two of us. So you have to tell us about your expectations from this particular session.
Actually, Chaucer Yogini is a very vast subject, and the
Right.
way you researched, it's like amazing.
Thank
So I
you.
just want to be a part of your research to understand it deeply how you researched it. So that's why I'm attending the sessions.
I'll try my level best to
Because
answer your questions. And yes, what were you saying? Anything else?
that's no.
Okay. So, I think we are going to start the session, and I will share a file, a PPT file, as well as some of you have already received a PDF file, and some of you have the book. So we will refer to both. And then you can actually refer to the book as well whenever you actually need to. So right now I will share a PPT file on the screen. Give me a second. Now?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, something was there. I mean, it's a technical challenge which I'm actually going through. Sorry. Yeah. Wait. Where was it? Recording. Yeah. Now share. Yeah. So this is paper. See. Yeah. Now, before we get further into this, I need to share something with you. Yeah. Now, when we talk about the number 64, Vivek, you had been asking me about the significance of number 64. Why 64 and why not anything else? So, first and foremost is like we know how 8 is important in not only 8, 64, these numbers are very much significant in the occult studies. 4 is another one. So, these numbers, they are very much related to occult, and 8, it has a lot of strong significance in our scriptures. Now, if you talk about this, the Vedas says that there are 64 dimensions, 8 major dimensions and 64 sub-dimensions. That's what the Vedas say. I mean, obviously, I've not gone into the Vedas, but when I was doing the research and all that, so that's what I had figured out. Then there are 8 matrikas. They are actually the kshetrapalas. So the cardinal points. So these are the, like, when you see this, there are, let's say, north, south, east, west. So the 8 directions. So each direction, they are being guarded by 8 yoginis and one particular yogini and her consort, the Bhairav. So from that lineage, I mean, from there it comes 8 yoginis and 8 Bhairavs. So it's like something like 8 directions are being guarded by each yogini and Bhairav. And from there's a set of 8 yoginis and Bhairavs more. So it's like that's how the 64 yoginis and 64 Bhairavs are being formed. And the main the yoginis who are guarding the 8 directions, they are called the Ashtamatrikas. So they are the chief matrikas or the chief yoginis of the mother goddess. And this each of the matrikas, they have 8 Bhairavs and 8 yoginis. Yeah, and that's how they make a 64 consolidated thing, the total mandala, the tantric mandala. So that's how then we come to they are also called the Dikpalas or the Kshetrapalas because they guard the directions. And that's how it is very much related to Vastu. And also in terms of when you are doing some tantric art or when you're creating the tantric mandala within the temples or maybe in the ancient scriptures, when you go to Rajasthan, when you see the Rajasthani scriptures, there was a lot of other iconographies which people found. So the drawings also, they say in the same direction, in the same manner, they have done the tantric drawings. And when you see the yantra, that's also created in a similar fashion. So these are the basic things of the 64 concept, but there is more to it, and which I will tell you. Is like in Mahabharata, when you talk about 64, Krishna, he had the knowledge of 64 kalas or the Chaushati kalas. So he had the knowledge of 64 kalas, which are important in human lives. Usually people take, if an ordinary person has to learn the 64 kalas in a lifetime, it will be like each of the kala would take him 2.5 years to learn. For Krishna, it was in 64 days. For Krishna and Balaram, in 64 days, they had learned 64 kalas and 14 vidyas. So these are the ancient, some skill sets, and they involve the performing arts. They involve the other skill sets which man usually make use of in their daily lives. So there are a lot of things which you can find on the net, or maybe if you want, I can share the list of 64 kalas as well as the 14 vidyas, which were very much known to the people in the, what do you call it? People like Krishna and Balaram. And it is said that Kalki would also have this kind of knowledge. He would also have the knowledge of 64 kalas, so Chauset kalas. But usually there is another significance to it, that when Bhishma in the battle of Kurukshetra, when he was not killed before he was fired 64 arrows on the instruction of Krishna. Arjun has had fired 64 arrows towards him. The internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, because it was saying the internet connection is unstable. Acha. So 64 arrows were fired at Bhishma before he actually collapsed on the ground. Then if you talk about astrology, then there are 8 Yogini Dasas. And we have Mahadasas in the astrology thing. So corresponding to that, in the Yogini astrology, it is that there were 8 Yogini Dasas, and which are very much known to people who are into the Yogini astrology part. So I cannot tell much about it, but this is what I have found. In then there was like the number 8 is also symbolic because it is related to Saturn. Numerologically, Saturn is denoted by number 8. And also, if you invert 8, I mean, if you just turn it slightly upside down, not upside down, but on the at the right angle, then it forms an infinity symbol. So, which is also related to Ananta Yoga. That is the Ananta Nag. So that is also important in the Patanjali Yoga. Also, I will tell you more. Chauset kalas are mentioned. And yeah. Usually the number 8, 64, and 81 are important in Vastu Shastra also. That's also another aspect. So 64 is significant in Vedas, Mahabharata, then Brihat Samhita. And so that's why the Kala tradition has the number 64 and 8. Plus, as I told you, there are dimensions like 64 dimensions, subdivisions, but the main dimensions are like 8 in numbers, as mentioned in the Vedas. One more thing which I need to talk about is that the Yogini cult is also feared because of its, somehow there's a connection between the Yakshi cult. Now, the Yakshi, they were also known as the tree spirits or maybe the nature spirits. But when they used to take the human form or some form, it was not very easy to deal with them, especially the Yakshis. If you see the book or if you see the PDFs, there are some structures I've mentioned. I don't know, Sibu, have you gone through that? Do you have the Yakshi cult thing in your PDF? Have I shared the Yakshi cult with you in the PDF? I think I have. Wait, and let me check. Because in the Yakshi cult, or rather, in the Yakshi cult itself, there are structures, they are huge, larger than life structures. So this, let me show you this. Yeah. These are some of the pictures I'll share. Can you see this? This is a Yakshini. These are found in Indian Museum, Kolkata. I had gone there and taken some pictures. This is a Yaksha. And there's a list of names which are found in the Buddhist scriptures, in the Jain scriptures, as well as in the Sanatani scriptures or the Hindu scriptures. So they were figures which were not very easy to deal with, and they were actually meant as they were called the uh, street spirits, and they were not always they were very benevolent types. They were quite malevolent, and it is also believed that the yogini iconographies, they were quite similar to the yakshi formats, form which are the structures. So what happened is like anybody, it is seen that if somebody tries to worship the yogini and tries to deal with a yogini in a different format, in a different relation, then they might the worship might backfire unless and until you treat them as divine mothers. Why? Because some of them are malevolent and they have that yakshi, energy in them. So, which is why in Hinduism specifically, people are asked not to deal with this kind of risky. I mean, those who do, they do it, but people are advised not to get into the yakshi worship because it's very difficult to deal with the energies. They are very powerful, they are very aggressive, and they are larger than life character, which you also find in some of the yoginis also, in the Chaucer yoginis, because the Chaucer yoginis, they have the malevolent entities as well as the benevolent entities. The benevolent ones is like fine, but if it is a malevolent entity, if it is malevolent, then it is like it will be harmful for the person or the upasaka or the worshipper. So that is something it is there, which I wanted to tell you, but I was forgetting. Yeah. And they were actually the yakshis or the yaksha cult that was there before the Vedas or the came into being, or maybe before the Aryans came into the Indian peninsula. So they were later on, they were absorbed in the Vedic traditions by the rishis and the sages, the Rig Veda and that. And some were worshipped, some were rejected, but it was a absorption of the culture to an extent, and not always they were treated with the due respect. That is also there. And when you see the yogini figurines in various yogini temples, whether in Hirapur or in any other yogini sites, yogini temple sites, you will find that a lot of yogini figurines, they are either they have very pleasant faces, or they have very malevolent expressions with fangs and with a harsh look. So now we don't understand why is it so. So basically, it could be of two different reasons. Either during those days, artisans were depicting the various rasas, the navras or the 9 rasas, which I've already mentioned in the book. If you go through the part 3, you will find it. Either they were because of the artistic expression which they were trying to bring out through their work, navras, that was one. Bringing out various expressions, or it could be the iconographies were inspired by the local deities, the Gram Devatas or the tribal goddesses, and more so because of the surroundings. Hirapur was a village, it was in a desolate place, surrounded by wild animals and so during those times. Right now, if you go there, you will find it is like there are a lot of shops and all of that. It has developed. But in 2015, when I went there for the first time, it was much comparatively more desolate than what it is now today. So you can imagine in 9th century or in 10th century, things would be very different. And when Queen Hira Devi, when she got the temple erected, things were very different. Plus, people were very scared of the wild animals, which is why you will find a lot of animal-faced, deities over there. And not only in Hirapur, but you will find the animal-faced, the yoginis in the other yogini temples of Madhya Pradesh, as well as Ranipur, Jharia. So one could be that because of the fear of the wild animals, that is one. Plus, the societal aspect is also there, that the therianthropic aspect is there. Why therianthrope is coming in? Because when we talk about the therianthropic aspect, it's like that it is half human and half animal. So it is the iconography which has a lot of symbolism. So it is like It could be the psychological aspect is also there. Either the kind of entities they actually lived during those times, or it is a fear of the wild animals that made the artisans create such iconographies, or the local deities they were worshipped to pacify their wrath. That is also there. Plus, some of them were demigoddesses also. They were demigoddesses also, and which is one of the reasons why that fear, the mystery surrounds them, the fear for the yoginis still remain intact. And if you still go to Hirapur area, people they do a lot of potachitra on the the papyrus, the kind of reeds and all that, those papers, but they don't actually create the yogini figurines. They are scared to do it, and they can't have that guts to worship the yoginis at home. They go to the temple, but they don't bring the yoginis at home because of their wrathful nature, because of the aggression, even though they are very mystical forms, but they are very aggressive in nature, very difficult to deal with. As well as I said, some of them have the yakshi or yakshini energy. So that is also there. Now, if we come to the other thing. One minute. I'll show you the other. Yeah. Now, first we talk about the golden triangle. When we talk about the golden triangle, it is believed that in Orissa, Bhubaneswar, Puri, and Konark, these three regions, it forms the golden triangle. And what is the basic, the condition of forming a golden triangle is that it will be an isosceles triangle, like when the two arms are similar and one will be dissimilar. But when we comes to Chaucerity Yogini temple, if we try to plot a triangle from Chaucerity Yogini point to the Puri Jagannath as well as Konark, it doesn't seem to be a complete isosceles triangle. If you see the map, it could be a scaling triangle. So some of us, if we think that, I have heard actually that someone was telling me that probably these three regions, Chaucerity Yogini Temple, Hirapur, Puri, and Konark, they form the golden triangle. It is actually not so. It will be a scaling triangle. So basically, it will be coming in between the golden. It will be coming closer to the Yogini, golden triangle in Orissa, the Chaucerity Yogini Temple, but it will not be a part of the golden triangle. It will not form the golden triangle. So this is one thing. This is why good and how golden triangle will be important is that when it is forming a golden triangle, then what happens is that the zone becomes very sensitive to the alien energy. So it's like the place becomes very sensitive. So if it is like some alien wants to contact the people out there, they can easily do it. I mean, that's sensitive that from that aspect. So when we talk about a hypaethral temple, why the Chaucer Yogini mandirs are mostly hypaethral? So if I talk about the Hirapur thing, the probably number one, it is closer to the golden triangle. That's one. It makes it sensitive to the supernatural elements or the cosmic other dimensions or the aliens, if you talk about. So that is one reason. The other reason is that when we talk about let me show this. Yeah. So when we talk about the flying goddesses or the Chaucer yoginis, they are supposed to be they are called the flying goddesses, like the Dakinis of the Tibetan Dakinis. So it was believed that they used to fly up, and that's why it used to be a roofless temple. From the niches, when the night time used to come, so they used to fly. They fly out. Now fly where? So it is mentioned in the folklores. It was mentioned in the the literary genres that they used to fly out. But why would they fly out? And that is something which we need to think of. There could be 2 or 3 possibilities. Probably because of the zone, since it was closer to the Golden Triangle, which makes it very vulnerable to the exposure to the alien world. So it could be something like the connection with the alien energy. So which is why when you see this particular diagram, I was actually thinking from those angles and I was trying to work on the sacred geometry regarding the temple. So when we talk about this particular thing, can you see this? There are 2 diagrams on this slide. So one is that pyramidal structure. This is a pyramidal structure when we have the Chandi Mandap in the center and you have, this is one Yogini niche and the other side there is another Yogini niche. So if I draw a line and it meets this two meets, then there is a line drawing. You can draw a perpendicular and you can actually form a pyramid. We know one thing, that any pyramid or pyramidal structure, whether it is in Egypt or in any other part of the globe, they always are, the Mount Kailash also, they actually act as receptors. They act as receptors to the alien energy. But we don't openly say it. Why? Because we're not very sure about it. But maybe there are evidences regarding the Egyptian pyramids. So similarly, if we talk about in the olden times, if we talk about the yoginis flying out from the hypaethral temple, that could be for the reason similar to this. Maybe they had a connection with the other world. The other outer dimensions. So, and when they fly out, that's why I was trying to figure out the pyramidal structure, that maybe this is how they used to connect with because it used to form a antenna kind of a thing. So, pyramid structure. So, which is why probably that's how the connectivity used to, come in. That's how the entire thing actually worked. And most of the temples in India, they were actually built on the basis of the golden ratio. And that's how, if you see this thing, the other side, on the diagram on the left, see how it looks. It looks like a shivling with there is this is what do you call it, structure which was meant for the sun salutation. And here you have the Yogini, this is the tantric mandala which it is forming, the 64 yoginis inside the niches actually, and you have the 9 Katyayanis on the outer part of the structure. And this actually looks like a Shivlinga. And the Chandi Mandap is actually playing the role of the Shakti. So it is a divine union of the Shiv and Shakti. Again, the tantric concept of the Purush and Prakriti, it plays a role over here in the Hirapur diagram, in the Hirapur Yogini temple diagram, which I have shown on the left-hand side. So that's how the golden ratio, it's obviously when you are drawing the golden ratio, that is actually related to any kind of temple structure, which people in the ancient days used to do. So that's what I was trying to do. And Shonali, you had been asking about the sacred geometry regarding the temple. So if you read about the golden ratio separately, you will have a fair idea how things are being done. So this is how it is. And I'll go to the next slide. Yeah. Now coming to the sacred geometry aspect of the Yogini temple. See, you see the Chandi Mandap in the center. This is a squarish kind of it's not even a square, it is more of a rectangular structure in the center with the 64, this actually 60 niches and 61st, 60, the four bhairavs on the other sides around the Chandi Mandap, and four yoginis, the 61, the 61st, 62nd, 63rd, and the 64th yogini niches are there in the center around the Chandi Mandap, along with the four bhairavs. So when you're plotting this diagram, then you can actually derive the various sacred geometry shapes, which have a lot of spiritual symbolism and which are mentioned in the book, which I've mentioned in details. You can actually have a look at that, whether it is a hexagram or anything of that kind. I'll just show. So these are the shapes. So each of the shapes have some symbolic symbolism, spiritual symbolism, which you can actually figure out from the book itself. And yeah, when you enter the temple, number 1 and number 2, you see there, these are the dwarpals, and these dwarpals are also bhairavs. When you enter, then there are the Kal Vikal bhairavs. And then when you get inside the temple itself, you find Ajakapada bhairav on the left side, and there is another bhairav on the right side. And the other two bhairavs on the other sides are also, one of those, or two of those Ashta bhairavs. But the main, very different is the form of the Ajakapada bhairav. I will just show you the form of Ajakapada bhairav. This is how it looks. These are the dwarpals, the two dwarpals. They are also bhairavs. And you can see the Chandi Mandap from the entrance. It is a low entrance. You get inside, and you have the Tal Beta, the Kal Bikal, the two bhairavs on the other side when you're entering the temple itself, the passage. And then you have, on the left, you have Ajakapada bhairav, that a bhairav who is standing on one leg. And you have the other bhairavs, other three bhairavs in a similar posture, seated in a similar posture on the other three sides. And one more interesting thing is that in the center, there was the statue of Martand Bhairav, the Mahabhairav, or the consort of the chief deity, whom you can see from here. You can see the facade of Mahamaya from here. So the Mahamaya's chief consort was Martand Bhairav. His place was in the center, which was not found when the site was being excavated, or maybe long ago. The actual reason is not known. And also the 61st yogini was called the Sarvamangala by one of the, the authors who had actually been there when the ASI team had gone there. So Sarvamangala's statue as well as Martand Bhairav, both are missing for some unknown reason. So this is how the Ajakapada Bhairav looks like. So he is also known as a cosmic pillar. He stands on one leg, and on both the sides, he has Vishnu as well as Brahma. There's a legend behind it, which is very popular in the Indian mythology, and you will find such structures in such a structure in the South Indian temple. I think Krishna would be able to say. Krishna, can you say which temple has this this iconography of Ajakapada Bhairav, which the Vishnu and Brahmas, they are coming out from the other sides of the Ajakapada Bhairav form?
No, exactly, I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? Okay,
exactly, I don't know.
Okay, we'll find it in the South Indian temple. I'll figure out and then I'll let you know. So this, and on the other side, you find the other Bhairav. The posture is similar to the other two Bhairavs who are seated on the other side of the Chandi Mandap. This is how the iconographies look like, the various, the yogini statues. Let me show you the Navakatyayanis. These are the 9 Katyayanis. This is how the 9 Katyayanis look like. They have the sword in their hand, and they have some attendants holding the umbrella on their head, and they stand on human skulls, severed heads. This is how the 9 Katyayanis look like. And they are on the outer niches of the circular temple. So who are they? They are basically, they are also the part of the 9 forms of Durga. They are quite, in terms of energy, she's quite aggressive, and she's known for the, giving victory, courage, also for protection. And she's primarily worshipped on the 6th day of Navaratri, which Navaratri is the Sharad Navaratri, which we observe in the month of October, September, October. And she is also known to govern the planet Brihaspati or Jupiter. And she's the iconography is depicted with 3 eyes, 4 arms, and she's mounted on the lion. So the iconography changes, the names change. That's how the entire the forms of the goddesses and the manifestations actually work like. Yeah, one more thing. Now, this one I was going to tell you about, like the connection of Jagannath. Jagannath and 64 yoginis, they have a strong connection. It's said that Jagannath is actually surrounded by 64 yoginis. And he is supposed to be the custodian of the 64 yoginis. And he is also depicted in tantric format. He is also associated with Bhairav or Kal Bhairav. And he is also the form of, in Vaishnava context, he is the Krishna or the manifestation of Vishnu. He is also associated with the Shakti and also the Balaram, who is supposed to be the Sheshnath, and is also an extension of his avatar. So this is one thing, and that made me actually draw this mandala. So mandalas are very much a part of sacred geometry, which is still prominent in the temple drawings and temple architecture, as well as in the other cultures also across the globe. But the iconographies and the drawings, they vary. So that is how it is. And I have tried to portray 64 yoginis in terms of the dots. These are the 64 yoginis around the iconographies of Jagannath and Bhairav, as well as Shakti. That's how I have tried to depict it. Basically, the mandala, when I was reading it, so I was trying to depict it through this mandala of Jagannath. This is, I have already spoken about. Yeah. The shapeshifters are the animal-faced yoginis, which I've already mentioned. This is how they look like. So they are also hybrid in structures in terms of the iconographies. They are half human and half, the body is of a human, as well as the head is of an animal. That's how it is. Like Narsimi is like the female concept of Narsima. Bhaluka. When we talk about the therianthropic features, so I have talked about the mythological aspect, and probably during those times, this kind of entities did exist. Plus the fear of the wild animals, the fear of the demigoddesses, the fear of the Brahma devatas, and also there is also another angle to it. So they could be called as shapeshifters. Like, for example, Nagas. If we talk about Mahabharata, the character of Ulupi, I mean, how many of you are familiar with the figures of the characters of Mahabharata, or maybe any other, if you talk about Ramayana? I mean, you must be aware of the character of Ulupi. She was a princess of the Naga dynasty, and he was married to Arjuna in the much later stage of Mahabharata. So she was basically a shapeshifter. She was half human and half Naga. But obviously, that's the depiction in the book itself, in the iconographies. But what we understand is that during those times, this kind of actually people existed, and maybe they had some connection with the. See, this is completely my observation. It might not be so. It is what I felt. It's like we have strong connection with the other dimensions, with the aliens and all of that. So probably they had some the Nagas. There's another topic altogether. There is some connection with the aliens, that something reptilia or something. I don't know what do you call it, but there is some link to it. So that could be one of the reasons that Ulupi was half human and a half. She could actually do a lot of shape shifting. She could take the form of a human. She could also transform into another. And that was very much common in those times when the when the yuga was different. During the times of Mahabharata and Ramayana, it was shape shifting was easier, much more easier, which we not get to see in the current times. And nowadays we think that it is probably pathological, but no, during those times it is quite possible. And probably that is why the modern literature people talk about, or maybe in terms of various stories we talk about, we hear about werewolves and all of that. But I don't know how far it is true in the current context, but maybe in those times, in those days, this was actually a possibility. And what I was just going through one of the articles. It says that in modern context, that the therianthrope aspect or the therianthropes, they have this kind of an identification. They actually tend to identify with animals in terms of that is the kind of an it's kind of an identity. I don't know whether it's an issue or maybe it is something psychological. They tend to relate with the animals, which probably a psychologist can only say. But I was just going through the articles, which is why I have shared it in this slide. So there might be various reasons behind it. They tend to identify with some non-human animal or something like that, or maybe some animal that has already become extinct. So that is a part of the psychological study which I have not gone into, which neither I have the right to talk about. So that is one thing which is there. Maybe some of you, I mean, one of you could actually give your opinion once we open the Q&A session. And yeah, coming to the Mahamaya, which is the chief deity of the temple, we had shown you the facade, how the facade looks like when it's all covered and all that. Probably because this is how the actual iconography currently looks like, all broken. And probably that's the reason why the 10-armed Mahamaya, she has been covered up with that facade for the puja purpose. And and I found the picture in Dr. Vidya Daheja's book. It was a research-oriented work. And she had taken the picture from somewhere, I don't know, from the ASI or something. And since I knew that it is a part of this temple, so I decided to paint and draw and paint. So this is how it looks like. And Mahamaya, if you are wanting to know more about Mahamaya, she has a relation with, in terms of the Vaishnava sect, she is supposed to be, she's considered as the sibling of Vishnu. And that's why she took the form of Yogamaya when Krishna, the 8th avatar of Vishnu, was born. I mean, Yogamaya was born, and then comes how could come and tried to kill her, kill the baby girl, but ultimately she flew away, and she predicted that whoever is going to kill him is actually growing up at Gokul and all of that. So, and she's also, in terms of iconography, she's actually presented as with a dark blue complexion, with 4 faces and hands, and holding a skull cap, as well as a weapon and a bow and arrows. As well as she has a dual role to play. She is also illusion and she also disillusions. So basically, she creates illusion as well as she kind of disillusions also people or the human mind. So that is one thing which you need to look into. And she's been celebrated during the Navratri and the Durga Puja. And in terms of when we talk about the Hirapur Yogini temple, she is the chief deity. And with the Mahabhairav or the Martan Bhairav, who is supposed to be based in the Chandimata, he is the very consort of the goddess. So you can actually refer to the various pages which I've mentioned already, page 99 or page 97 in your book. And Simu and Krishna, you can actually find in page 71 in your PDF file. Okay. This is how the facade looks like, the iconography of Mahamaya. In the center. This is a facade. So this is how you can see, this is a facade which has been put totally covered and people come and offer puja. And yeah, this is one interesting thing. There is a picture of the statue of Chamunda in one of the missions. So when I went there with the excursion group with our teacher, when I was going through the session, I mean, with her at Hirapur. So this particular picture was, these two pictures, particularly these two were pictures were clicked at the interval of 45 minutes. So what, I mean, it is said that if you go to the Yogini temples, you do see miracles and something which you can't explain. When you see a light over here, you see a light on the garland. There was no light, it was a cloudy sky. And there was no flashlight also was not being switched on. But our teacher had offered puja to the Chamunda statue. That's how we see the garland. And after 45 minutes, when we came back, we were actually going around the temple, sitting on the grass and all that. And after 45 minutes, when we came back, and then I took the picture, after taking the picture, I found this white light on the garland itself. And it is not sunlight, it is not on the flashlight. So it is believed that if the yoginis want you to take pictures or if they want to cooperate with you, they will cooperate with you and they can actually show their miracles. So, because if you see the other two pictures on the top, which I had taken at two different intervals in 2016 or 17 or something like that, these two pictures, they don't have that kind of light as well. This is the other two Chamunda statues. This one is this is from Orissa, one of the Orissa temples, and this is from the Indian Museum, Calcutta. So this is how a Chamunda statue actually looks like. She's the crone energy of the goddess. The old form of she looks very old and withered, the haggard. She was actually responsible for killing, mythologically, she was responsible for killing the two demons, Chanda and the Munda, when there was a battle going on with the goddess, between the goddess and the demons. Okay. Now coming to the questions. A lot of you have actually asked a lot of questions, which actually now it's time to answer. So some of you have asked about the initiation into the cult. Yes, you need to get initiated into the cult before you get deeper into the practice. Otherwise, you might make mistakes and it can actually bounce back in a very bad way. Yeah. I'll just tell you some more before I go into the further into the questions. We need to talk about something like what are the benefits that we get when we do the Yogini and the Das Mahavidya mantra chanting or maybe even inside the names. It's like you can be protected against enemies, whether it is hidden or prominent, the evil spirits, the dark magic, and negative energies. You get relief from struggles, removal of obstacles, fulfillment of materialistic desires because of the blessings, attainment of siddhis, spiritual powers, the spiritual growth, up with then the moksha attainment, peace and harmony in the family life. And when we talk about Mahavidya, now coming to before we go into the Mahavidya, yeah. Do psychic or siddhic powers arise naturally through yogic worship or tantric practices? Are there any caution? Yeah, you need to take guidance from a teacher and go ahead accordingly. Otherwise, it might obviously, as I was telling you, it will actually backfire in a very bad way. And you can actually chant the names of all the 64 yoginis regularly because I have shared the list in the book as well as in the PDF file also. The ones which have the matrikas names in it, try to do those. Those are much more comfortable to do in terms of dealing with the energy than the ones which are without the matrikas. There are the non-matrikas and the matrikas. You find the list over there. You find the list, that was the list that was shared by Dr. Vida Daheja in her book, which I actually have shared in the book itself, in our book. And self-study, yes, you can do self-study. Just for the sake of doing the study, yes, you can. But if you have to get deeper into the thing, if you want to some kind of get deeper into the worship aspect, the ritualistic aspect, then you need the guidance from the teacher. In terms of the grounding daily practices, yeah, meditation, chanting mantras with mudras, that will actually help. and pranayamas along with it, because the energy is too heavy to handle. So you need to ground yourself with the pranayama at the end, the meditation. That will also help you. The mudras will help you to the connection. And yeah. Yeah, in terms of, well, what is it? What more you have asked? Ma Kali is a Mahavidya, is Vamachara her natural primordial path. Can one still worship Krishna while doing the Yogini sadhana? Yes, of course, you can. Because if you see the ascended masters like Ramakrishna Dev and Bama Kappa and the other ascended masters, they had actually done both. They had actually explored both the paths, but they actually they had, I mean, in terms of the specialization, if you say, you can actually choose one, but you can actually combine both. In Bengal, there's a concept called Krishna Kali. So it is a combination of both Kali and Krishna. So you can actually do it, but it's what your emotion tells you, what your brain tells you, or what your heart tells you to do. First, you need to understand that, and then go ahead and accordingly take it forward. Yeah, what is Bhav Bhakti? Can Bhav Bhakti take an individual to the same height and depth as a strict practitioner? See, Bhav Bhakti, it is not ritualistic, it is more of the mental and the emotional state. So if you can connect with the divine mothers, divine goddess in that way, yes, why not? She will respond. You need to treat them with respect, they will respond back easily. And in Kali Sadhana, if a devotee connects Ma, like what is Kali? What that is? No, the Divine Mother, she will write for him. And she will be caring, she will be very, she'll be a divine guide to him, like a divine mother. Try and see, I mean, those who have actually dealt with it, I'm sure they have actually also. Even though she's in the most ruthless form, even though she's in the purest form of her, but still, when you actually surrender to her, she will be a benevolent goddess, like your own mother. And the way you deal with your mother when she's in a good mood, that's how the goddess will also respond. So see to it that you can avoid the wrath of the yogini and the goddess. Achha, during Mahavidya sadhana, the devotees are often visited by the yoginis. How should the sadhak react if they feel the presence, especially if the sadhak is a vihas? See, as long as you don't get scared, I've seen people getting scared and just freaking out. That is not advisable. Then it will be a real problem. Otherwise, you can actually just go ahead with your practice. Nothing happens. You can do that actually. So only thing is that start with chanting of the names, then gradually get into the Namavali. But when you're doing the Namavali, do it with mudras. That will actually help. And there is a closing, the opening and the closing prayers. So that will actually help you to connect with the divinity properly. So that you need to do under the guidance of specific teachers. And yeah, I do it myself because when I do the Namavali chanting, I do it in a proper manner. So you need to do it in the same way. Otherwise, it might be not a proper thing. Few Matangi mantras which you can actually chant, but not without Disha, one cannot chant all the mantras. Yes, that is not so. You cannot do all the mantras, but you need to be initiated. Yes, and some of the mantras which are, in terms of the iconographies, the mantras also vary. So you need to understand which iconography suits you. For example, Raja Matangi, she's more like a minister to the Lalita Tripura Sundari, the supreme goddess. So when it is that kind of a format, it is different. But when it is, say, Uchishta Matangi, that is also in a different iconography. She's, given the leftover food, and the role is different. So each iconography of the deity or the Mahavidya, Matangi, it differs. And when you are actually aligning with the Mahavidya, you need to understand that what she expects out of the sadhaka, and you have to act accordingly. For example, Matangi is more related to she's a tantric goddess. She's actually the female form of Ganpati or Uchishta Ganpati. And she's also the tantric Saraswati. So Saraswati, whom we know as the Vedic format, in the Vedic format, there is a iconography is different. I mean, it's the Tantric Saraswati, she's emerald green, she has a parrot in the hand, unlike the Vedic Saraswati, who has the swan, who has the peacock along with her as a mount. So when it comes to Matangi, so you have to see what she expects out of you when you're connecting with her. She is related to the power of speech. She related to the cultural aspect, like the performing arts, or maybe things like writing or painting, or anything, any kind of skill sets which are related to art. So you have to understand how the iconography of the Matangi is related to that particular aspect, and accordingly you have to do the chanting. There you need the guidance of a teacher. Okay. Yeah. In terms of bhakti bhav, there are so many. Shudeshna, you can actually look into the web, and you'll find a lot of other things. When you're talking about the bhav bhakti, yes, bhav bhakti is a mark or the path that actually will help you to attain your siddhi. But which part you are choosing out of the bhava, that you need to look into. But whatever you choose, you can actually reach your spiritual goals very effectively. Plus, if you can do the mantras for the connectivity, that actually helps.
Okay.
And yeah, regarding my experience, yes, my experience with the Chaucer Yogini studies and all of that, it had been totally transformational. No transformation had been without pain and without any challenges. Yes, I had gone through a lot of challenges in life, and the more so, it actually led me into the path where it got aligned with my life purpose, which I was actually neglecting when I was playing my 20 plus years role in the corporate business, reputed business conglomerate. So I shifted from there. The yoginis when they shift completely into an area which is absolutely aligned with my life purpose, which is actually, which is supposed to be dealing with art and spirituality. And which is why then I got into painting in a much more serious manner. I got into book writing. I got into doing the videos on the yoginis, the documentaries, the YouTube documentaries, and making the various things like the creative stuffs like the calendars, and which went out to a lot of people. And all those things were there, plus the paintings and the Yogini series. And also today, that's why, because of the blessings, I'm sitting here today and interacting with you, and trying to, reach out to you people regarding in terms of the Yogini cult, and how the things, how and why such things happen in our lives. And also the transformation will be, it's absolutely, I will not say it will be only painful, but it will also have positive results at the end, because once there is an ego death, then you actually get into the area where uh, you are actually going through a cathartic effect, and then you are actually channelized into the path where you actually should be. Then you will be taken towards your materialistic goals, your spiritual goals, and the ultimate is the moksha prapti, or the attainment of moksha. That happens, but you will not be free from challenges. You will actually have to face challenges time and again. You will be, come in contact with people who will actually act as catalysts to go through those challenges. Initially, it will be very painful. It will be very, discomfort oriented. You might see your anger, coming out. That also happened in my life also. But gradually, I've understood why, what has happened, what was my fault, and how my past lives were connected with the Yogini cult, because of the placement of the Jupiter and Ketu in my chart, and as well as the Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, that is the sun placement in the Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, which is also aligned with the Ajakapada Bhairav, which we talked about a while ago. So those things were actually there. So ultimately, I had to be in this area either today or tomorrow. But it happened since I was totally diverted with my job and all of that. So the yoginis actually dragged me into this area, and they are actually making me do what actually I'm supposed to do in this lifetime right now. And yeah, also the past life regression therapies, they actually help me to understand these things. Plus, the last thing which I would talk about is the Kundalini awakening experience, which I had, which I've mentioned in part 6 of the book and the PDF file. So how it has actually helped me, and that actually happened because of the association of the Yogini cult. And these are the drawings which I tried to depict how the the yoginis had actually helped me go through the Kundalini awakening experience. So these are the drawings which I tried to explain. And also I heard about there's a chant which I got during the meditation when I was going through the Kundalini awakening meditation. This is the chant which I got, which I've also mentioned in the book in the chants also. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. That's something which we know. Plus, there's one which I will mention. That is something very unusual. Om Shri Vardhanaya Namaha or something. That was something very unusual which I heard during the Kundalini awakening thing. Om Shri Vardhanaya Namaha. Yeah, that was like connection with the cosmos. I don't know how I got it or why I got it. And before that, I had never heard about that mantra, but that came to me. So treat them with the bhakti bhava, they would actually respond as benevolent deities. Otherwise, you might have to face the wrath. And what they don't like is that the lack of transparency. So if you are dealing with the yoginis, be absolutely transparent in front of them. They will respond the way you want them to respond, and they will be very much benevolent. They will be guiding you in your life, and that will be there. Plus, if you are talking about now, when we talk about the Samachara and the Dakshinachara, which we have already mentioned, and the ritualistic aspect, what we can say is that you better, one should get initiated under the guidance of a good teacher when it comes to, and preferably a Dakshinachara for householders like us. When you're doing some kind of ritual aspect, you're talking about the ritual aspect, you want to do some ritual for the yoginis, then you can actually set up an altar before invoking them. And I've mentioned it in part 6, chapters 2, 3, and 4, how the basics of rituals and what you can do for the altar setup and all of that. Sit before the Chausit Yogini and the Das Mahavidya Yantras, recite their names, the ones which have the matrikas names. Then gradually go shift to Namavalis, do it with mudras or mantras daily before sunrise or after sunset. And before you close it, do pranayamas. That is the 2 of the pranayamas which will talk about, which will actually deal with your, which is Anulom Vilom as well as the Kapalbhati. These 2 will actually help you to get yourself grounded, as well as release the pent up energy which you can actually acquire while doing the Yogini sadhana or the Das Mahavidya sadhana. That will actually help. Also do the meditation. Through the meditation, you might get some messages. Close it with bandhas. If you're not trained in bandhas, then go to Isha or some other teacher to learn how the bandhas work. That is also part of all the tantric practices which you can do it at the household level also. And for specific pujas or worships, you can actually choose the first 9 days of the lunar calendar. Not the Krishna Paksha, but the Shukla Paksha. That will actually help you to do the fulfillment of all desires also. That will actually be the time for the Mother Goddess and the yoginis. For the Krishna Paksha, you need to go for the Bhairava worship. And if possible, go and visit some ancient yogini temples if you get a chance. So that is something to do with the ritual aspect. So that is what things are all about, the entire thing. I've tried to put things in a very brief, concise manner. Now you tell me if you have any other questions.
Thanks a lot for this, Niilanjana, like very comprehensive. I think a lot of things got answered, but now I have more questions also.
All your questions, Shudeshna, yours, Shonali's, most of the questions I have tried to answer. So I hope I have tried to make things clear, but I don't know how far I could do it. You let me know. Anything else which you need to know right now, tell me.
You mentioned about so ultimately like there's Adi Sakti, right? And then what I actually know of before knowing about Adi Sakti is Adi Yogi. Adi Yogi is like Shiva, is what I know.
Yeah.
Maybe wrong.
Yeah.
Isn't Mahamaya also Adi Sakti? Because you mentioned Mahamaya is like the sister of the 8th incarnation of Vishnu.
Yes. She's see, it's only the iconographies are changing. but she is basically Adyashakti, she is basically Chandi, she is basically Kamakshi, Kamakhya, whatever you say. It's only the iconographies are changing. And with the iconographies, the mantras change. With the iconographies, the names also change. So basically, all are part of the Adyashakti or Adishakti. Like the Chaucer Yogini Namavali, which you find in the book, is actually related to the Kali and her yoginis. And then we find other Namavalis which have the other names of the other yoginis. So you just need to go through it, go through the pages, and you'll have a clarity how things work. And obviously, if you want some more, explanation, I'm always there to help you out with that. What else, Vinayak?
So if I look at the Dasamahavidyas, then there are two kulas, right? Sri Kul and Kali Kul. Can you
Right.
explain what exactly these are and
Yeah. Sri
more on
Kula,
the live context? Like, yeah.
see, Sri Kula is related to Lalita Tripura Sundari, which we find as Lalita Tripura Sundari seems to be a very benign form of the Adi Shakti. She is the primordial goddess. She is just like the benign form of Chandi, Art Chandi, which we know. She is also seated on the Panchamunda Asana. That's there for Adishakti, for Chandi, for Kamakhya, for Lalita Tripura Sundari as well. She's a primordial goddess. On the other side, but Sri Kula is, and from her side, there is a list of Chausati Yoginis. There is a list of Das Mahavidyas. And the Kali Kula is like, it's more aligned with the raw power of Kali. And that's why the Kali Kula, that's her branch, that we have 64 yoginis, the Mahavidya, they're also related to that side. So there are two kulas, the Kali Kulas and the Sri Kulas. One is Lalita Tripura Sundari, Sri Vidya tradition. That is more practiced in the down south. And Kali Kula is more practiced in the eastern part of the country. So that is there. And one thing is that what I have learned is like from a South Indian friend, I have learned the Sri Vidya tradition of the Das Mahavidya. So there are certain differences in the mudras, in terms of maybe the namavalis, in terms of the iconographies, but basic things are same. It's the aggressive. If you see the one small thing, like you see a sugarcane in the hands of Sri Vidya, but when he changes the iconography, when we see the change in the iconography of a Chandi, we see a trident or a trishul, right? And when in terms of Kali Kula, we see the raw power of the Kali, who can actually take various forms. So there is various forms of Kali. So it is the benign. We get to see the benign form. We get to see the aggressive form. We get to see something in between. We get to see the Krishna Kali also, which is a some kind of a union. It is a kind of a combination of Kali and Krishna, which is why you can actually associate Bhakti cult with the Shaktis. It can be done. And we do get to see such iconographies or such statues in Kolkata, in Burdwan, in Brindavan also. So those things are there.
Yeah. Another thought which I have, and I wanted to just clarify whether this is right or not. For example, a Kamaksha temple, the main peeth, the Garbhagriha, that is it Tripura Sundari there, or what is it? What exactly are which Dasamahavidya are we worshipping in the main Garbhagriha of Kamaksha? Kamaksha and Tripura Sundari are the same, or?
They are the same, but the iconographies are different. Once again, it's like the Kamakshi in Maharashtra, Kamakhya in Assam, Tripura Sundari in down south, Chandi in Bengal. So it's like all the same. The manifestations are different, the iconographies are different, but basically the same, and the mantras are different. Again, it is the same thing. And the Das Mahavidya that we know of is like the 10th Mahavidya. The same Mahavidyas, they are being worshipped in Assam, in the Kamakhya temple also. And one more thing before we go on to the next thing, since we're talking about Das Mahavidya, in Kali Kula, there are 3 Mahavidyas which we actually associate with the Kali Kula. Dhumavati, because of her raw energy, Bagalamukhi, and Kali. Kali is also death and the rebirth. So it is actually signifying the death and the rebirth. So a transformational energy. Bagalamukhi is Thambana. It's like she silences the enemies or silences the unwanted things. So she's also an aggressive form, but she can be worshipped in the household. So these three deities, these three Mahavidyas, they're associated with the Kali Kula. And some more, the Bhubaneshwari and some more, the other iconographies. Oh, Chinnamasta is also related to Kali Kula. But the others, they are related with the Sri Vidya tradition. But when we actually learn the Dasmahavidya thing, or the concept of meditation, we learn, all the 10 Mahavidyas with mudras, with the mantras, and with the namavalis. And then we, when we come out of the meditation format, we do the pranayamas to ground ourselves, to release the upsurge of energy that happens within the system. And then we do the meditation. Then we end it with the bandhas, plus the closing prayer, and then we come out of the. So that's how the thing happens.
Okay.
Niilanjana, you mentioned we need, for householders like us, Dakshin Chara is where, from whom we should get an initiation. How to find one? And second question is, do you do initiations for others?
See, I'm not a teacher, but yes, I can help you. See, the way I had learned from two different teachers. One was like that long time ago when we learned how she taught us. I can actually tell you those. That's a much more easier thing. Plus, recently, the South Indian friend, the way he is a tantric, young tantric, the way he taught me the Sri Vidya tradition, the Mahavidya, the meditation. So that is also quite an easy format. We can actually deal with that. And though that is not very tough, but we would require maybe 2 classes to absorb the energy, because it is quite heavy. If you first, you need to get the hang of the Chaucer Yogini thing, the Namavali, first to get the hang of it, then gradually we can go to the Mahavidya, the meditation.
But Namavali we can do on our own without any initiation, you're saying?
First you need to do the names. First you do the name chanting. Then we can actually just have a bonus class or something one day where we can actually talk about how to do the mantras and all of that. If you want, we can actually do it. That is actually, you guys decide and you let me know. If you are interested, then we can actually do a class particularly on mantras. Maybe a bonus class to this, or maybe a bonus session to this, just to talk about the mantras and how things are done. We can do that.
That would be super useful.
What about the rest? You need to tell me if you.
Yeah, even I feel the same, because I am initiated in Mahavidya, the first Mahavidya, but I never did the chantings for 64 yoginis. So I would prefer if you do this.
Okay. What about the rest? What about the rest? Shonali, Pallavi, Simu, what about you? So you're there.
The same
Dia?
as Krish.
Would like to have that session.
Pooja. Sukanya? Okay, Pooja here said yes. Sukanya, what about you? Raise your hand if you have to.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, fine. Krishna, what about you? Krishna. So are you interested in doing maybe we will do a bonus session to this and maybe an extension to this in terms of the how the chantings are to be done, how the rituals are to be done. We can do a session on this. Would you like to do
Yes,
that?
madam. I am also interested.
Very good. So when do you want to do it? You want to do it today? You want to do it on a different day? You tell me.
As soon as
For
possible.
me, Niilanjana di, it's for me personally, I would prefer a different day because I have to have some household chores to do. It's almost 1 now.
Okay,
So
all of it's the same thing. Yeah, I understand. You want to do it in the
Same, yeah.
You want to do it in
Excellent.
the evening? You want to do it in the evening, or you want to do it next week? What do you want to do?
Next week.
Next
So
week.
please.
Yeah.
next week.
Yes.
So next Sunday?
Yeah.
You want to do it on next Sunday?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, madam.
Absolutely.
Yeah, works.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine
Very
for
good.
me also.
Very good. So
Yeah.
next Sunday, Vinayak, are you there?
This
Vinayak?
meeting will end by.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So next Sunday, can we do? We will do the chanting and the ritual aspect. How to do this in terms of when we are doing it as an individual. When we are practicing as an individual, we can
Yes.
do it. That we need
Yes,
to
madam.